But for the most part, the ones that are, I guess, labeled radical, like a Bernie Sanders, healthcare for all, higher wages, free, cheap, if not free education. Like, what is radical? What's crazy about it? And if that's the radical as it gets, then I think we're having the wrong conversation. So one thing that we have to make sure that we are all doing as a collective, and I know when it comes to Americans, we're always worried about self and just whatever, benefits us as an individual. Like, I get that. That's a bad habit that America at some point has to break, because that's only going to be more destructive. But that's a whole nother conversation. We have to learn how to be able, as a collective, to point out our government. And at the moment, we won't have two sides, blue, red, Republicans, Democrats. We essentially have to hold these politicians, these people in power, accountable for what they say, the actions that they do, and the policies that they implement that, doesn't benefit the majority of Americans, and the policies that they don't try to pursue as they, tell us during their campaigns that, they're going to do X, Y, and Z, and they don't get nothing done, hence Trump and a lot of Democrats, not going to lie. But we have to be able to hold them accountable. And when we have these conversations, via, Facebook, Twitter, or whatever the case is, we have to be able to have an honest conversation with each other. If you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, or anything in between, having those conversations honestly will make sure the politicians, or at least try to make them have that same honest conversation. But as you know, that is not happening. And as we're about to see Jordan Peterson, which, he's another character, and Bill Maher doing the exact opposite of that. And when you don't have these honest conversations, you're not going to have an honest perspective. You're not going to have an honest outlook, and you're damn sure ain't going to have an honest solution to whatever the topic is. You're just going to essentially just be wasting time talking about nothing that will lead to nothing and lead to more just nothingness. Like, this is an hour and 34-minute conversation about nothing that's going to help me or you in the slightest. So let's go ahead and listen to Bill Maher and Jordan Peterson talk about Democrats and the Republicans, and just how disingenuous they are when it comes to understanding what each side represents, and being honest with that. Like, honestly, honesty can go a long way.
You've been
It's so naive and childish.
You've been standing up to the woke mob more and more.
Of course.
And so what's been the consequence?
Once again, the woke mob, like, explain what the woke is, because it seems like that's just a word, a lazy way to try to describe something, and you don't want to intellectually describe it. So you just say woke for what, like, okay, come on, Jordan, come on.
But of course, not many people are doing that.
No, you're right. Well, the consequence is some people left the building. I can't give an estimate, and I don't care, and I don't miss them. Other people joined. Like, there's a lot of people in this country who are tired of the hate and the hating, and I am one of them. I don't want to hate half the country, and I don't hate half the country.
If he would have just stopped right there, we as smart individuals could be like, both sides kind of participate in that. You know what I'm saying? One is a little more heavy-handed than the other, but both of them essentially kind of play that game. If he would have just stopped right there, it would have been like, Bill Maher, hey, let's drink to that. Cheers. You know? But he just keeps talking and keeps talking.
I would never vote for Trump, and I think he's an abomination. And Kamala, do I have to love everything? No. And it's fine.
So Trump is an abomination, which is a hell of a word. And then Harris, do I have to agree? Like, so you're already kind of tipping the scale already right there, saying, hey, one's an abomination. He didn't even hesitate to say that. But Kamala Harris, like, do I have to agree with her? Like, I don't agree with everything with my wife. So it's like, I love my wife, 15 years going on 16. So it's like, what does that mean? But one's an abomination. Come on. But watch how he just completely just messes this up, because I think, in my opinion, he doesn't want to challenge. He doesn't want Jordan Peterson to challenge him. He's trying to stay like right here in the middle. Watch.
Fine. And I thought she was great last night. And I can't be more thrilled that I would put my money on that she's going to win the election. But I don't hold my tongue about what is insane about the other side, because it is. It's not nearly as threatening as not conceding elections, which Trump does not do.
Okay.
So that's where I am on that.
So not conceding elections is like a literal threat to the democracy we do have, or kind of perception or whatever. But is he going to explain what the equal opposite threat is that the Democrats pose? And trust me, I'm not a Democrat, but I'm not dishonest either. Is he going to explain what this is? Hint, of course he's not.
But I also understand that Trump, I think, will go away after this. I think he's kind of finally reached his Joe McCarthy stage, where it's like people are tired of it. It just took longer. But Trumpism won't go away. And I would define Trumpism as a fear of the insanity of the far left, which is not completely unjustified.
Once again, you are not describing what this radical, crazy thing that the left is doing to justify anyone like Trump. Explain that, elaborate on that, give us some detail. Come, like, you got the glasses, shirt tucked in, like do something, say something. But let me tell you what Trumpism is. And trust me, it took me 15 minutes to put this together so I can give you at least my perspective of what Trumpism is. Okay. Trumpism involves rejecting information that contradicts one's belief, values, or political ideology, regardless of fact or logic. It often employs fear-based tactics to distract, frequently at the expense of marginalized groups such as Black, Brown, and working class communities. Additionally, it tends to overlook American democratic principles and the Constitution in its attempt to forcefully impose its own ideologies. Not Ben. I almost called you Ben, bro. Bill Maher. At least put 5 to 10 minutes on what you believe, or of what you're saying, and then we can have a better conversation. But if you just use general words like woke or the radical left, like give me some more substance in that. But once again, either he can't because he just is intellectually lazy, or he doesn't want to be challenged by Jordan Peterson, who, I don't know, he got his legs crossed a little too hard. Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you engage in a conversation, and not just use loose words to try to make it sound like you're saying something and you're really not.
And therefore, anyone is better than that. And Trump proves it, because he is that anyone. If he's okay, if he, in all his monstrosity, is still better than what you fear about the left, That's a problem the left has to deal with.
The left has to. So the left is responsible for the right and the way that their party is leaning towards. I mean, if the left was supposed to like be somewhat of a party with actual morals and any like standards, it should be a blowout. Like this could be a country with just one party. If that's the case, if the Republicans are deciding to essentially jump off a cliff with supporting someone like Donald Trump and having all these like mini Donald Trumps popping up, this should be a sweep every single election year, on a local level and a higher level. Like this should be a blowout for the Democratic Party. But once again, since Bill doesn't want to kind of elaborate on what the far left is and how that kind of assisted with having a Donald Trump in office and kind of controlling the Republican Party, let me explain to you, because I have to do this. I have to explain his position. The far left is corporate owned, lukewarm, virtual signaling, keeping the status quo, self-centered, elitist politicians. They only serve their donors, which is the corporations who pay millions of dollars to keep the status quo, to keep them in power, to keep them the 1%, to continue to, and this is probably the most important, to continue to gap wages between the 1% and like everybody else, continuing to make that gap bigger. And that's where all the frustration is. And for whatever reason, Democrats don't want to be like, you know what? If we actually implement healthcare the way that it should be, education the way that it should be, just foreign policy, like if they enacted in any way, shape, or form what the American people already agree that they want, this should be a blowout every 4 years. It shouldn't even be a competition. But I'm pretty sure what, a lot of, people are going to say, trans, Democrats want to transform your kids from, little boys to little girls. Is like, name one politician who's championing that. I don't know. Pause this video. Go find out. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. AOC? No. Bernie Sanders? No. But of course, like I said, Trumpism will use anything at the expense of marginalized people, because trans people make up less than 1% of Americans. They will use people like that as a distraction. And now we're talking about trans people who honestly just minding their business, ain't worried about you or me in the slightest. But once again, Bill, there you go. There's an actual critique of the left and how they create a Donald Trump. I mean, come on.
It would be so easy. This thing I just mentioned about Colombia, where they were saying we want to eradicate the United States as it is. How about pick some Democratic politician, pick that as your Sister Soldier moment. Remember Sister Soldier? That's what Clinton, he made a thing about a rapper who had said, we should take a week out and just kill white people. Now, no one was...
It'd take longer than a week.
It would take... Exactly. But she said...
She's just not committed to the task.
She was being reasonable. She said, just take a week. Okay. And nobody really took this seriously. He purposely picked on that. And someone could do that. Does anybody think most kids in America want to eradicate America? Of course not. But just pick out something to signal to the middle of this country, we're not as crazy as the super crazies on the far left. Just pick it. That's a sister.
But what is it that the far left is proclaiming. And I'm not talking about voters. I'm not talking about young folks and, some of their weird, perspectives of what they want to do with their life. I'm not talking about Democratic voters. I'm talking about Democratic policymakers, the ones who's in charge. What crazy policies are they trying to enforce on the American people? And once again, I don't know every politician. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't have that kind of time of day to be, knowledgeable about every single person. But for the most part, the ones that are, I guess, labeled radical, like a Bernie Sanders, healthcare for all, higher wages, free, cheap, if not free education. Like, what is radical? What's crazy about it? And if that's the radical as it gets, then I think we're having the wrong conversation.
Just hold your moment. We don't want to eradicate America. Okay? So Trumpism
Okay.
will not, they will find someone. They will find another Trump. It's not really just him. As long as there's things that scare them about the things you've gotten in trouble with, gender, and the hysterics about racism, not that it isn't a real thing, but all this, freedom of speech issues, parenting issues, all these.
In all parenting issues, none of your business. Are you the parent of all kids? Then yeah. If you're the father of like millions of kids around the world, then okay, that's your conversation. But Bill Maher doesn't have kids. I don't think Jordan Peterson has kids. And if he does, that's his responsibility. I have my own kids. I raised them based upon my morals and standards. I don't need no one telling me how to parent. And trust me, I don't want to tell you how to parent. I already got enough on my plate. Racism. He said, hey, all the hysteria, but I mean, we can't say racism doesn't exist. So it's like, come on, man, like you can't say the same, those both contradicting statements in the same breath. Either it is an issue and it's something we need to talk about, or it's not an issue and we don't need to talk about it. And if you feel like we don't need to talk about it, then that's your perspective. But other people might feel like it's something that still needs to be addressed and furthered, looked at in better solutions. Like this is nothing to fear and then create a Donald Trump. 1, 2, this is not the Democratic Party's responsibility. Their job, which is, once again, we can have a conversation, but their job is to put up their candidate that will better implement their wants and their needs. It should be the American people, but they kind of missed the mark. So once again, we can disagree on policies, positions that these parties make, but we have to be honest. And if you're being honest and you just lack information, then get information and then come back to the conversation. Because trust me, this conversation is going to continue while I'm here, while I'm gone. But it's your responsibility to educate yourself so you don't look like a Bill Maher and just saying things because you heard other people say it, but you have no idea. Not in the slightest of what the details kind of inquire for that conversation. Oh, the woke mob. Explain what woke is. Oh, the radical left. Okay, what is the radical left? What are they proposing? Oh, they want trans people to just like live. Oh, they want, higher wages in affordable education and free healthcare. I don't know, man. But once again, if you think I'm wrong, if you think that, the radical left just wants to trans every kid and eat kids and stuff, whatever the conspiracies, Ask Candace Owens, because she's the queen of conspiracies. I'm pretty sure she'll put you on game on all the hottest conspiracies. But if you think I'm wrong, like always, let me know in the comments down below, and let's have that conversation.